was down that mission one night, and a fellow came by, his name was Claude Nelson. He had scabs all over him. He'd been in a fight. He'd gone to home and tried to break up a fight between a man and his wife, and both of them got a chair and like to broke his head in. And I asked him, I said, how come you didn't take care of yourself? He couldn't find a third chair. And he had scabs on him and sleeping in the car all night, and he was out there, and we were talking about this night outside, and talking about his soul. He wouldn't get saved. And finally he said, well, preacher, he said, besides, he said, you preachers lie about this business anyway. I said, I don't lie to you. What are you talking about me lying? He said, well, you know that Bible says it's all right to drink. I said, no, it doesn't. He said, yes, it does. I said, it does not. He said, well, it do so. I took a Bible out and said, show it to me. He said, now, preacher, he said, you know that I can't find that verse in there, but you know that verse in there. And I said, no. I said, Claude, it doesn't say that. What it says is, drink a little wine for thy stomach's sake, and thine often infirmities. He said, you see there? You see there? It says drink wine. I said, doesn't say that. He said, you just said that. I said, it said, drink a little. He said, yeah, okay, it says drink a little. So it says drink a little. I said, no, it doesn't. He said, you just says it. I said, it said, drink a little wine for thy stomach's sake, not often infirmities. When you drink only a little, and only when you're sick, Claude. Amen. Listen, every sneaky Pete on the Bowery, he knows what that verse is. But that verse says, don't drink it unless you're sick, only take a little. Yeah, I never met one of those fellows in my life that drank a little. Now, I'll tell you something that's funny about liquor, and that is, if you don't live with a drunk, they're funny. Now, if you have to live with one, it ain't funny. It ain't funny, McGee, it ain't funny. But something about drunks, there's an old saying, God takes care of fools and drunks. And I've often thought about that. Because I look back my years on the saved man, you know what I think? I think I had double protection all my life. And God takes care of fools and drunkards. I had a double insurance policy, boy. But you know, if you know anything about drunks at all, you know they can get through things that a man who's sober can't get through. And the case after case, a guy falls out of a six-story window, you know, lands to the ground, gets up and walks off, that kind of stuff, you know. The class, this old drunk in a car, you know, goes over a bridge and goes down below and crosses the thing and almost slaps the car and goes a culvert, goes off a ditch and rolls over about 5 times, and a highway patrolman is right on him just about the time the car quit spinning the wheel in the air, and that old drunk comes staggering out of that metal wreck, and the officer says, are you drunk? And he said, of course I'm drunk. What do you think I am, a stunt driver? I mean, they say some crazy things, man. You take, when I was over the Philippine Islands, I was down in Chinatown one night where I had no business being, about 2 o'clock in the morning looking for trouble. Trench knife in my boot, my money in my socks, you know. I was a fool, man, all by myself, you know. And I was down there walking around. I passed by Limey about 2 o'clock in the morning, drunk as a skunk, man. I had about 4 sheets in the wind, 3 blown away. And he was coming down that street like this. And he had nothing on his hand at all. He just like this. And as I passed by him, I heard him say, lead me home, doggy old boy, lead me home. You know, he had nothing out there at all. They're weird. You take the New York police found a fellow one time outside the New York Zoo, holding on those iron bars outside the zoo. And he was going around there screaming, let me out, let me out, let me out. He was already out. I mean, they do some crazy things, man. Down there in Pensacola, Florida, Panama City, Florida, a couple of them came there one night. They drove to the highway patrol station. And they thought it was a Denny's or a McDonald's or something. And they parked up there and blew the horn for service. And out came a patrolman, you know, big old patrolman, bent over, looked in the window and said, okay, boys, what do you want? He said, well, take 2 hamburgers and a Coca-Cola. And they do some crazy things, man. You know that story, I'm sure, about those 2 drunks going down the railroad track, you know, and they've been crawling down the railroad track for about a mile. One of them said, it's pretty tough going up the staircase, isn't it, buddy? Another guy said, yeah, it wouldn't be so bad if a handrail wasn't so low. Two drunks got lost. two drunks got lost in New York one time and didn't know where to go, and finally one of them said, well, go in this guy's house here and ask him. It was a Subway. And this guy goes into the Subway, and he's down there about 30 minutes after he comes out, and his buddy said, would you find out where we're at? He said, no, but you ought to see the set of trains this guy got in his basement. They do some wild things, man. Down there in Panama City where I was preaching, a drunk was, he was standing by an elevator and didn't know exactly where he was, you know. He just kind of messing around, you know, and didn't cut half out of his skull. And the elevator came down, was full of people, and it came down open right in front of him. He was standing there. He took one look at him, and he said, well, I guess y'all wonder why I called this meeting. I know a drunk one time went to a big game hunter's house about 3 o'clock in the morning and woke him up. That guy opened the window upstairs just mad as a hatter and said, what do you want, you fool, waking up this time of night? And the drunk down there in the driveway said, are you the fellow that advertised in the papers you going to Africa to hunt lions? They said, yeah, what of it? He said, well, didn't you advertise to say you want to have something to go with you? And they said, yeah, I did. What of it? And he said, well, I just came by to tell you that positively under no condition am I going with you. And that's where they are. They caught a couple of drunks one time. Well, 3 of them they caught. They had them on charge for reckless driving and drunken driving and hit and run and everything, and had them there on the stand. And they had one guy, and they were giving him the 3rd degree on the stand. And they got him up there and said, all right, which of you was driving? And he said, I got you there. We were all in the back seat. Now, like I say, it's with a drunk, it's funny. It's funny if you're not married to one. But if you're married to one, then it doesn't get very funny. It doesn't get very funny. The Surgeon General says, tobacco may be dangerous for your health. The Surgeon General warns it might cause cancer. Hey, you dirty hypocrite, what about that liquor? Get 25,000 people a year killed in auto accidents, not counting the ones that are drunk when they shoot, and most of them on liquor when they shoot, and the ones that deal in drugs, and most of them on liquor when they deal in... You waste your time for the drugs. The liquor comes first. The liquor comes first, then come the drugs. I mean, the fellow says, well, the Surgeon General said the Surgeon General is a fool. I don't know what he's talking about, and he's paid to lie is what he's paid for. You know what they're trying to do right now? They're trying to take all your guns away from you so you will lose your protection and turn a whole bunch of drunks loose on you. The drunks are already loose on you. The perverts are loose on you. Well, they want now to take your guns. Surgeon General know what he's talking about. There have been more people killed by liquor than cigarettes any time, any period of history, any place you go. Been the downfall of nations. Isaiah chapter 5 says, woe be to him that calls evil good and good evil, and woe be to them that are mighty men that drink strong drink and continue till night till wine inflame them. And they regard not the work of the Lord's hand. Habakkuk chapter 2 says, woe to him that puts the bottle to his neighbor, that may uncover his nakedness and look upon his nakedness. Woe be to him that builds a city with bloodshed. Woe be to a city that wants more money and more revenue, and that's why they sell liquor. Woe be to a city that wants more money and revenue, so they make it a resort place for queers to come in to spend their money. Woe unto man that does stuff. I mean, you take the average town in the south as well as the north. Now they want to get business. That book says if you build your city with bloodshed, woe unto you. If the cost of putting in the parks and paying the bills and taking care of the trash and taking care of the smog, if the cost out of the lives of your young people, woe